Hey guys and gals, we thought it would be a good idea to have a video guide to help new users out a little bit, in particular with the tactic editor. So I've taken on this task. I'll start by running through some of the basics, and then I want to talk a little bit about some strategic macro decisions, and now and then I'll maybe throw in a little tip or trick. As a disclaimer, this video is not going to show you a tactic that will let you beat all other teams. It's only meant to teach you the means of how to achieve this yourself. So let's start by going into the tactic page. Right away you can see how I've set up my folder system. We'll get more into this later on. I think that's quite important. So let's just start by creating a new tactic. First of all, I like to name my tactics something that lets me remember what it is. So let's say we want to run down alley on this tactic, and maybe we want it to be a rush, or we want it to be a slow play, or something in between. You maybe want to categorize that in the name as well. Maybe later on you duplicate the tactic, you can call it version 2 or something like that. I'm just going to call it this for now. And let's start by going through all the basic stuff, of course. First of all, you have the banner over here. You can select the type of tactic you want it to be, the competition you want to play in, and also you can change the bomb carrier. It's not something I normally do, but you can use it. Maybe you've changed your route and you need someone else to hold the bomb, something like that. Or maybe your player 1 is one of your best players and you don't want him to be planting the bomb. Also, you can turn on and off the tactic here. The basic tools, of course, is a waypoint. This point just makes the player run through it. We can very quickly show this by simulating, which is one of the amazing tools we have. And now you can see the player simply run through this. If there's no more points, then we're going to stop. Now the other points we have is a sync point. This is a point that all the players will stop at and synchronize with each other. We have a cam point. If you use a cam point, it's not really used that much, but if you have a cam point, then that's just going to be the end point, and they're not going to move anymore. So generally, you can just use the sync point as well for the same thing and not have more points. And you have the wait point. The wait point is important. Now, there's shortcuts to turn this on and off, but I'm just going to do it like this to show. This is a waypoint. Put him here. And I think it's easier to show it by illustrating what exactly it does. And here's your sync. So this doesn't necessarily make any sense. It's not supposed to make sense. The tactic is not supposed to make sense. It's only supposed to show how the point works. When this stack reaches this point, they're going to stop at the same time as this guy reaches this point. They're both on the third point. If we make one more sync for this stack, then they're not going to move to this point unless this guy dies. So if this guy gets killed, then this stack is going to run up. So let's save this and let's illustrate how this works by creating a CT tactic that counters this. So we'll make a new tactic. And I'm just going to call it test, because that's the point. Now, in this tactic, I'll just quickly create something that will kill this guy running up, which will cause these other guys to keep running. So let's use the search function to find this test tactic and simulate this against each other. We can then see how a wait point works. There's the first sync. There's the second sync. and he dies, then they move. And I'll show you what happens if there's no tactic to kill that waiter, then nothing's going to happen and they're going to stay until the timer runs out. You can use the slider here too. So as you can see, nothing is going to happen here. In the end, the time is going to run out. We're just going to go to 25 seconds and the bomb carrier is going to plant the bomb. That's all the basic points. The other point we have, of course, is an after plant point. So let's say he doesn't get killed. That makes them run in here and plant the bomb. You might want to have a plan for the after plant situation. So let's say you want to camp here. It's not necessarily any good. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but let's say you want to do this. Then you can save this. And let's see what happens if you simulate this. So let's simulate this against no tactic at all. This will cause the tactic to go down the timer, go and plant the bomb at 25 seconds, because it's set to that. And then run to the after plant point. This is going to be very strong when processed. It's going to be very strong against this because there's no after plant points for the CT. So obviously you can see how this would be much better than having nothing set. Okay, that's the basics. So let me show you a couple of useful things. You can turn on and off all of these obviously, and the shortcut is just to use the number keys on the keyboard, which is super useful to speed this up. If you want to make points for only one of them, which is especially a thing if you want to create grenades, which is what we're going to do now. So say that they are waiting, he dies, the waiter dies. So maybe then we want, that makes sense, right? We want to run out and throw some grenades. Because if he died, it means someone is coming. And we want to assume that someone is coming maybe around this spot, for instance. And we can choose, you can see the radius. You can obviously not throw it into walls. And you can drag it like this to hit the spot you want to hit. And if you want to instead make a flashbang, we're going to actually do that also here. So let's select player number 2, because now I have a grenade on player 3 and player 4. So we do the same thing, throw a nade, and then we right click again and turn it into a flashbang. You can see very easily where this is going to flash. And if we put this here, which is maybe not a good idea, we're going to flash this. So maybe put it behind the wall to try and hit the enemy. And then let's also create another sync point to run up here and try and kill the people that we just flashed. Save this. Now let's try this. Again, it's the test tactic. Waiter dies, they run up, they throw the flash, the grenades hit, and they win easily because they're all flashed. You can also see that they did some damage with the grenades. It's not a perfect hit, but there's a small damage there. But the flash grenade is a bang on hit pretty much, and it's very easy for those guys to win that. So that's the concept of using flash and grenade to win a spot with a waiter. This is maybe something you use more commonly in a CT tactic, but it all applies, and you can use it in many different ways. It's all up to yourself to be creative. Now, I'm going to open up a new CT tactic, which is also not necessarily going to be any good. The point is to show what kind of situation you might get into once you've made a few tactics. So I'll make this let's just go alley, right? Didn't actually go alley on the other tactic, but we're going to actually go alley this time. And we'll call it alley check or something. So let's say I have an idea to get up here quickly. You might not get there. That's not the point. But let's say you want to do this. You want to go up here, check this quickly. And you want to camp here. This is probably not going to be a spot that CTs can claim without using a flash or synchronizing earlier, but that's not the point. Let's do this. Then let's go to the terrorist tactic. We're going to erase everything. This is definitely not going to be a rush this time. I'm going to instead call it alley delay because I don't want these guys to clash too early. So let's say you want to delay. Let's say you want to sit and camp on any given corner. You can camp behind this one, behind this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. This is all good options to camp for a little while in case you get hit by rush. So then we'll use the sync timer. And this is an important tool to make sure you don't go too quickly into your enemy. You don't want to always go at the same speed. So to create this situation, you can either use only stack like this and clone it. Everyone gets the same point several times. Let's say we want to do this 3 times. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you want one of them to have a shorter sync timer like this. And then if you want to put this back, it can be a bit annoying sometimes. So a good tool to fix that is hitting here and snapping. And you can put it back on and it snaps, which is super useful for situations like this. Now, we obviously know where our own test tactic is going to sit. So we could counter that very easily, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to illustrate what you might run into while you're playing the game. So say you want to go here and you want to go and plant the bomb, okay? So you put this here. That's that. And you might want to put an after plant point somewhere, maybe here. It's not great, but it's the corner at least. Okay, save that. Now we simulate. This tactic that I called test. But I don't know what I'm doing. I guess the tactic that I called alley check, which is conveniently at the top of the list. Now, of course, we know what's going to happen. But the point of this is when you're playing a real game, you don't necessarily know where it's going to go. And you find yourself getting hit by someone sitting in a corner that you didn't expect, and then you're going to die. And what I want you all to think about is, how do you respond to that? And then you need to go into a tactic. Obviously, this is going to go like this. 5 obviously for the CT. Now, you've seen this game. You've seen what happened. And you decide, oh, I'm not going to lose to that next time. Well, then let's go here and change this waypoint to a sync point, like I just converted it like this. And one thing you can do is use the cone of the players to make them look in this direction as they move. Now, you might not get this perfectly right. You could do it like this. If you're very convinced where they are, you can put it further back like this. Maybe in some situations, say you were worried about this spot and this spot, you could put it like this and then make 2 other players deselect these, look up. So you have a split. I'm going to play that against no tactic just to show how the cone movement is going to be when you set it correctly, like you can see here. Yeah, so that's pretty good. I'll put it on the slowest speed. they're looking here. Actually, it's not perfect, but the point is you can make them look in this direction while running, which is going to give them a much greater chance to kill someone. Now, when you put in a cone like this, you don't always get the perfect result on your first try. Sometimes they look the wrong way, or you need to adjust something and can't always control the movement perfectly. Then you might want to put a waypoint here. If I create one now, it's going to be 7th, so that's not going to work. So we need to right click on this one and insert after. You can insert before or after. And if you save this, it should have better movement for this spot. Now, let's get back to the concept I was trying to explain. We can now look at this sync, and terrorists are going to have a much greater chance of killing someone in this position. So let's go to simulate again, this time back to the alley check tactic. So run it up. And let's see how this goes now. Boom, they're looking right at it. At this point, it's 5 versus 5, and it should be pretty much a 50-50. You can see there's one player survives on one team. So it's really going to be very random. But at least you've given yourself a good chance. Now, maybe you don't just want to give yourself a good chance. You're very confident that your enemy is going to stand in this corner, which might be the case. Then you want to add a grenade and make it a flash. And now you can see how this, if I regenerate this, you can now see how this is going to be 100% win. Boom, full flash, easy win. So that's how you counterplay something that you've seen not working on your tactic, and you adapt. Now maybe you're playing CT in this round, and you saw this happen. So you think, oh shit, this tactic doesn't even work anymore. Now I need to adapt. So let's go back to the concept I explained in the first round. Let's use a waiter to create a flash situation. So we'll make this one single guy a waiter. And we'll put these guys here waiting for him to die. Once he dies, we'll create another sync point for them. And we'll make only one guy throw a flash out here. Or maybe behind them to be perfectly safe. And then they jump out and kill them all. That's the idea, right? It doesn't necessarily always work when you do this, but that's the idea. Let's simulate again. And now we can see terrorists are going to kill this guy very easily because he's flashed. Now they flash, and CT wins. So that didn't necessarily work perfectly, but you get the point. Okay, we're going to look more deeper into after plant situations. So let's just create a quick after plant situation. So we'll plant the bomb here for terrorist. We'll put the after plant point here to watch the bomb. Maybe you want to watch this direction and behind. You never know. Let's save this and let's go to the CT tactic I have set up. Now, terrorists are going to get plant. How do we respond to this? We can create 2 points. CT. Maybe you want to check all sorts of areas, but you only have 2 points to do it with. So you have to find out how to counterplay as much as possible with what you have. So let's say you want to check this corner, which I'm pretty sure not many people use, by the way. But that could change, meta could change, and this video could be old. So don't listen to too much of the details. And maybe you want to check behind this train. For some reason, that's what we want to do. Let's convert this to a flashbang, and now using 2 flashes, you've safely checked this point and this point. You still have 2 more flashes to play with, so I would recommend using them. At least if you didn't use them earlier in the game. So I'll convert both of these to flashes. There we are. It's a bit of an annoying thing, by the way. I'm going to do this again just to show you what happened. I create flashbang for both. I create grenade for both, and I convert to flashbang. Now I can't convert the other one to flashbang. It only clicks, and this is hopefully fixed in the future. But as I deselect, right, you can see it's the green one. It's converted. So what you have to do is just deselect one and then fix the last one for now. So we'll put, I think that makes sense, right? Just put one in this direction and one in this direction. And as you play some opponent, you might find out, oh, he's here, so this is going to work. Oh, he has a aftermath over here, so this is going to work. Or you flash behind if you think there any reason to do that. After this sync, they're going to run to the use as soon as possible. So I'm going to illustrate this. Simulate. Oh, you can see, didn't go as I planned. I'll actually have to change this around. So to make sure that doesn't happen, I'm just going to make this a sync point. They won't be looking at each other, and just do this and make this for a second time. This is only to illustrate. Rushing can be strong, camping can be strong, so delaying can be strong. Everything works, everything has a place, and you use it to counteract each other. Bomb is planted. They went to their afterplant position, and CT is incoming on theirs. Oh, now you can see I made a mistake. But this is actually something I was going to show you afterwards. And the 4 players were selected. They ran in, did what I was planning on them to do. But player 5, or in this case, in the simulation it's 10, didn't have a sync. So he's just running for the bomb. He's just going to die. But the rest worked pretty much as planned. And you can see the CT only flashed the people looking in this direction, not the people looking in this direction. So they died. Now, say you have you've absorbed. So say you've noticed this. You noticed your failure. You go in and adjust your flashbang. Suddenly, this is going to work. And it's going to work especially well if you add a point for all of them. Like so. I'm going to be more specific than that. Let's regenerate this to add the changes. And here we are in the same position. You're going to see those 2 flashbangs hit both sides, and they should have a pretty good chance of winning. Okay, that's afterplant points. Now, let's go into a couple of things that I see new people doing, which is something that makes sense when you're coming from CS and you don't really have the experience that some people have from CS Manager, which is the predecessor of this game, pretty much. There's a reason why you will see almost all veterans stack their players like this. A lot of new players will not do that because it doesn't actually make sense. you might go and push your players like this, because that's what it will look like in real CS, right? You can't just stand on top of each other. But here you can. And if you could do that in real CS, that would be pretty powerful as well. Being able to look at the exact same spot at the exact same time is so powerful that even though there's a certain stat debuff happening when you're stacked like this, you get a bit of a reduction, which is also counterplayed by team play stat. Even with that reduction, you're much better off having the exact same cone when you're making a challenge, as you have more people shooting on the same target. So I do recommend always using a stack. It doesn't have to be all 5 players. Like I've showed earlier, you can use waypoint and you can split your players, but you definitely want to always use the same cone. But you definitely want to always use the same cone for all type of situations. There are some exceptions which are good. Say you want to camp behind a flat corner like this. Then you can actually put your players on a line, and they are going to see the exact same thing at the exact same time, at least if they're coming this way. So this is maybe not a great example because you might get hit from behind or from below or anything like that. But the point is, you can put them on a line, and that does work quite well. And you're going to have, or you're not going to have the stat debuff. Okay, I've gone back to the tactic page, and I want to talk about the folder system. This is something you should definitely be using. The way I have it set up, I have one folder, which is my match set. This is what I use in official matches. And I will put tactics in and out of that as I change them, or as I find out that they are not good enough, or if I find something unbalanced, anything like that, I will take them out, or I will make a new version and move the old one into a folder that I personally called send help. I have also one folder for each different route you can take on the map. For CT, there's a couple more. Also I have, well, yeah, this is the mess that I've created. And I also have a different set that I use for the major tournament. But that doesn't necessarily, you don't have to do it like I have done it. But the point is, I want to say is, make a good folder system and keep control of what is what. If all your tactics are just names smashed on the keyboard and no folders to keep track of what is what, you're going to very quickly have a total mess. And honestly, if you open up your browser and you wanted to fix some tactics, and the first thing you look at is just an absolute mess of a page where you don't know what anything is, then either you're going to not be motivated, or you're going to just create something new all the time because you can't be asked looking through it. So make a good folder system. Have a garbage folder for all the old stuff. If you want to ever find something old, you can always go and look. You can go into the advanced settings and set up how much money I want to spend or before taking an eco round, and how many players. I'm not going to go and show my settings because I don't want people to just copy what I have. I want people to think for themselves and create their own stuff. I'm going to leader, where I would say it's pretty much good to turn on everything, at least right now. But the other thing here is the stats page. The stats page is super useful for many reasons. You can open up any map. You can open up red and blue side, and you can find out how good is the stuff that I've made. For instance, I can find a tactic here, which this is one that I probably abandoned, I think. I played it 12 times, only 4 wins. So this percentage is so low that I've either made a new version or disbanded it. And you can find out what you have to improve. You can look for tactics with win rate around this, 70, 60 also is pretty good win rate. And you want to use those tactics. You want to build your whole set around your best performing tactics. If you have a tactic performing poorly, you can also enter it here and see if a couple changes to fixes it. But if you find a tactic like this with this low percentage, and if you change it, be sure to also delete the stats like this. So next time that tactic pops up, you're going to have the new stats. This is a super good system to help you stay in tune with what's working and what's not working. It's also important to look at the type of games that actually matter. That might be irrelevant if you lose, if the tactic is chosen as an eco. Maybe it doesn't actually matter then, because you lost because you didn't have weapons, not because the tactic was bad. So that's worth thinking about. It's worth thinking about, is the stats from league? You can see my stats in a league is so much better. Well, why is it better in a league? Well, that's because currently we're playing against a lot of bot teams. So I'm mostly winning everything. Or how is it performing in skirmish? And here you can see I have many stats that are a lot worse. And that's another point. If you want to improve in this game, you definitely have to find someone or a community to play with, play against, and to test your stuff. You're never going to improve playing all alone in this game. So that's the stats page. And I really, really recommend using this at least once a week to stay in tune with what's going on. Even if you're watching all your games, I might not actually notice. There's an eye test and there's a stat test. Okay, so you want it to work on the statistics and you want it to work on the eye test as well. Don't make changes based on only what you see, but definitely consider both. The next thing is loadouts. You can see I have 3 kind of loadouts. There's no right or wrong here. You can actually achieve everything in only one. So what I would say is, let's go and create a new loadout to show this. It's going to be a bit different for a CT. A CT will also have the fuse kit. You can remove like this, but you can also just drag them. I will always recommend buying utility first, because I think flashbang and grenade is just so strong. After that, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, and I'm not going to say which weapons you should use, but put the weapon you want as a priority on the top, If you're crazy, maybe it's simply 5. And set up your secondary weapons here. It's a lot of people are using Deagle and dual Berettas actively. So you can put that if you want secondary weapon to have an effect on the pistol round, then you need to put something here. Eco weapon, here you can just put anything. And eco buy order is a different buy order from this. So actually you can put eco settings in the same as you have normal tactic. So you kind of don't need a different loadout for it. But I have a couple of different ones. I also have one for snipers. So you can change it here. You can also go to the tactic that we just made. And you can set loadout to every single player. Like this. I can choose if I want these guys to be snipers, and I can do that. If I want them to be using MP5, then I can do this. If I want them to do only Deagle, I can use this loadout that I have here. So it can be a pretty good idea to have different loadouts in the same tactic, but you can also just use one by default, which is probably going to be fine. Okay, we're back in the tactic editor. So I'm going to clear this tactic. I'm going to show a couple of tips. First, I just want to go through all of the tools we have. What I do when I'm creating grenades is I don't want to create a grenade with all players selected like this. Now I have 5 grenades on top of each other, and maybe I didn't want 5. You don't need 5 grenades if they hit the target to kill someone. You only need, if it's spot on hit, you can kill with 2. Might be a good idea to throw in 1 extra in case you don't hit spot on. Or you can just use grenade to secure a spot. Say that I'm creating a tactic that wants to go to bomb on B. I'm just going to remove this because I don't want to remove 5 grenades. Let's go here, 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 and maybe you've seen in some games that you have problems with CT sitting behind this box. Okay, so we want to grenade that box. Now I can see I didn't quite get the angle. So we can move a bit and get that. Should be able to get behind the box if we move a little bit. And now, nope, not yet. And now we can grenade behind the box. Now I have 5 grenades down there. So we don't need that. So we can take 2 of them out and deselect the 3 players. Take 2 of them out. Let's remove 1. And let's make this a flashbang. Now, obviously, we're going to flash ourselves with this. So how do we avoid doing that? Well, we take the cone of the players and look away. Now we can go this way or this way. I might want to consider, was there any point bombing this spot if we aren't going to go here? Well, there might be if you're sure you're going to kill a lot of players, but in general, I would try and use utility for a purpose. I'm not going to say that you should look behind this corner like this, but I'm going to do it as an illustration of how you should be thinking about corners, how you should be thinking about using sync points. You shouldn't use a sync point like this one is pointless. This one maybe you can say it has a use because you gather all the players. So there might be a use in this one. Or you could say you use this one to delay a little bit to avoid being hit by rushes. So let's remove this one because it's pointless. Now we're here. We're afraid of them behind this corner. Maybe we're afraid of them behind this corner. And maybe we're afraid of them standing on the line on this wall or something, which I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do. You can see I've selected only clear fight, and he has used his flash. So let's instead deselect and select player 4. He still has a flash. I would always try and use all utility in every tactic. It's worth it. We can flash on the side, behind, we can throw it in. We can put the players further back so that the grenade wouldn't hit the wall. We can throw it further up. And then they might have to look away. If we did this, it's probably not enough. But this is something you simulate and you find out. Does that work? Was it not working? Now, maybe there's a couple of spots in the trains that could hide players, perhaps. Maybe you want to check it like this. And you want to use a waypoint to run up. And maybe you want to throw one more grenade. So we'll add a grenade for the yellow in case we think they're behind of this train. Now we have set player 1 as our bomb carrier as default. And we have set plant time to 25. And I'm going to show how this one, we can change this to our benefit. If we are out of points, and we want to check this spot, because we've flashed it. There's no point flashing it if you don't go and check it. Then it's pointless. So don't throw a pointless grenade. Go and use it. So now we've checked behind here. And we want to plant the bomb, right? But there's no more points. Obviously you could delete something here. There's a lot of useless points. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to show you that the plant timer can be used. So let's simulate this to find out exact time that the plant timer needs to be set for. So we'll just rush through it. Actually, we can see here, and then I flash to it, put in. It's going to flash here, and they turn away. And they don't get flashed. So that's how you use flash most of the time to avoid flashing yourself. We check all the corners, and you can see that one actually hit them, but it was insignificant because I need to rewind a bit more. You can see here the flash actually hits them a little bit, but once they're out, it's already gone. So it's fine. Okay, now this is going to be exactly 1 minute. So let's go back. Let's change the plant time to 60 seconds. That's 60 seconds left. So that's going to be exactly 1 minute. And we'll generate this again to demonstrate how you can use the plant time. Let's rewind. This time it was a bit faster. Most likely player 1 spawned with the bomb. Now it should go. Okay, this is actually something that happens. We have to go turn off the tactic or close the tab and open it again. I'm not sure why that helps, but it does. Here you can see it's 60 seconds, and he runs to plant the bomb. This can be useful in many ways. Okay, let's look at this tactic now that we've created. And you're looking back at it and you're thinking that this is looking a bit like a mess. Maybe it looks even worse. Maybe you have, I'm going to select player 2 and 1, they don't have a flash yet. Let's create some flashes just to make this even messier, right? Maybe the tactic looks like this. It's just white everywhere. We have no idea what's going on. We can even create a grenade here and with a blue one both in this direction, just to show how it can look. And sometimes a good tactic looks completely messy. So there's no reason to do this, of course, is just to show how messy it can look. And when you've done this, it can be super helpful to hide flashbangs and hide grenades. Now you can much easier see the route, see what exactly you're doing, and then you can turn them back on and see, oh, that's why I did this, that's why I've done this, right? So it's a helpful tool to demonstrate. Now, one little trick I like to use, I'm going to show. Now we need one player actually. So let's put a flashbang in. One little trick I like to use is to see how can I hit exactly this spot, right? I want to be up here and hit this. How can I do that? I like to create a flashbang and see from the line where exactly is the peak. And you can see it's right there. Now I can take another player, put him exactly on this, make him turn his cone exactly like this. Let's now remove this, clone that one guy, and delete this one. When you clone, you're going to have an extra, so we'll just remove that. And to point out how useful it is to find the peak, not necessarily this peak because it's open on one side, but we've now found the peak. Let's go to the test tactic and let's have them run over like this. And we'll see if the peak works. Might not, and sometimes it doesn't actually work. And you have to adjust it. But the point is that using the flashbang to find that exact spot is very handy. Yeah, so there you go. The peak worked in this case. Obviously, you can easily counter that. If you're the counter terrorist, you can easily go in here and say, oh shit, I died to that. Well, okay, I'll move this back and make my player 5 for a flashbang up here. And now this is going to be completely changed. And that's the process that you want to go through when you're creating a tactic. You don't just make something and just do something randomly. You watch a game and you respond to what happens. You check your stats and you respond to what's not working. Another reason to use the folder system is to always see, and not just a folder system, but good names, good tactic names that shows you what that tactic is doing, is to easily see how many tactics are doing every different thing. And you can also use this little picture here to see, are they using this A main route? Are they using this alley route? You don't want to have 4 tactics in your tac set that all goes alley. You're going to be very weak to that. It's going to be very easy for your opponent to counter that if they find that out. So you want some tactics this way, some tactics this way, some tactics this way, and some tactics this way. You want to spread them out and do a little bit of everything. Maybe you want one tactic to go all the way around and backstab. Maybe you want one tactic to just rush and plant. Really, everything can work. You can make a successful tactic with 2 points to it, like this and this. You can make this work. I would probably add a couple more points, but you can make this work by having grenades, for instance, and planting this fast. Because it's so fast, it's going to be annoying to deal with. But flashbangs makes something like this possible.